Obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm going to bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao. We saw him when he, was at the top of his game. And alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money.
What was once merely a whisper among experts is now being proclaimed with unwavering conviction. There are no subtle caveats, diplomatic hesitation, or measured tones. The message is both bold and unequivocal. Alex is, at this moment, the most significant and talked-about figure in the women's game. Even before Indian Wells has properly started, before a single ball has been struck in anger, or the official draw released, the entire tennis world has its attention fixed on one player. That player is Alex. From studio analysts to former champions, and from current rivals to seasoned commentators, the verdict is remarkably unified. The spotlight is not for sharing, it is trained squarely on Alex. And even at this early point in her ascent, it is shining with an intensity no one could have foreseen. The sheer breadth of the acclaim is what lends this moment its true power. It isn't just that pundits are calling her popular and promising, they are rating her impact as greater than that of athletes who have spent 10 years crafting Hall of Fame careers. A statement from former Grand Slam champion Ana Ivanovic immediately shifted the entire tone of the discussion. She pointed out that many legends of the sport needed an entire career to gain the kind of global recognition and respect that Alex already commands. She also made a point of stressing that this is no slight against the greats who paved the way for the sport. It is rather a frank acknowledgement that the WTA has seldom, if ever, seen anything quite like what Alex is building. Overwhelming fan engagement, worldwide media focus, and a completely fresh wave of excitement. Ivanovic herself, a former world #1 and Roland Garros champion who understands the pressures of being a global standard-bearer, took the analogy a step further. She drew a parallel between Alex's effect on tennis and the cultural and sporting influence Manny Pacquiao wielded at the pinnacle of his dominance in boxing. That is not a comparison to be made lightly. It is a declaration of a transformative presence, because what Alex is achieving goes far beyond simply winning matches and climbing up the leaderboard. She is commanding the full attention of the sporting world, shaping the narratives and monopolizing the headlines. Commentators say her name first. Arenas are sold out with spectators desperate for a chance to see her. Social media erupts every single time she steps onto the court. Ivanovic also contends that if Alex continues on this path, maintaining her current levels of ability, courage, and sheer electricity, the summit of women's tennis isn't just an achievable goal. It is an inevitable destination. Every match she plays feels like a move towards something that transcends mere titles. It feels like we are witnessing the emergence of someone who is actively redefining star power in the modern WTA. The message from the analysts is crystal clear. The era of Alex is not on the horizon. It may well have already arrived. The momentum is undeniable, and the belief is becoming widespread. I recall last year, when she got the better of Swiatek, she handled it with such grace and humility, And for me, it was just brilliant to watch her take that match and then see her play after trying to push on and improve, because I'm a big fan of her game. I mean, it's plain to see she's driven to be even better than she already is. What makes this surge all the more powerful is that the discussion is not limited to trophies and scorelines. The pundits are not just dissecting her statistics or analyzing her forehand, they are discussing Alex's character. They are highlighting her conduct in interviews, her poised and respectful manner towards opponents, and her maturity in circumstances that would unnerve the vast majority of athletes. Following her landmark victory over Iga Swiatek, analysts observed something truly striking. There was no arrogance, no over-the-top celebrations designed to grab the headlines. Instead, Alex handled the attention with composure, humility, and an understated self-assurance that felt entirely authentic, not manufactured. That reaction told the tennis world just as much as the win itself, because greatness in our sport has always been about presence more than just raw power or rankings. And there is a peculiar quality to Alex. She absorbs the focus but is never consumed by it. She accepts the praise without ever letting it become a distraction. The way she talks about the game, about learning and staying grounded, displays a mindset typical of a champion seasoned by years at the top. And yet, she is forging that very reputation right now in real time. This rare combination of extraordinary talent and genuine character is what truly sets her apart. The sport is in constant search of athletes who can perform at the highest level while remaining approachable and admired players who inspire both conviction and loyalty. It is incredibly difficult to manufacture that mix. With Alex, it feels utterly organic. It seems effortless, and her authenticity is becoming as compelling as her tennis. encouraging fans, commentators, and even past champions to passionately back her ascent. She is the main draw in women's tennis right now. Absolutely. Is she a bigger draw than Sabalenka? Bigger than Coco Man? It's unbelievable. She's creating the same kind of buzz that Frances Tiafoe was generating on the men's tour in Miami last year. It has that Tiafoe feel, but I believe this is on an even larger scale. It really is, absolutely. The turnout for her in Doha last week was just wild. That's a fact. She is absolutely a player to keep on your radar. Not just because she's an incredible player, which is obvious, but for the energy alone, you have to tune into her matches just to feel what's happening around the court. You have to imagine there's at least a little bit of envy from some of the other women on the tour who are coming up. And she isn't even ranked in the top 10. That's when Sam Querrey, a former Grand Slam finalist who understands the pressures of the circuit and knows exactly how momentum works in pro tennis, joined the discussion, and he didn't mince words. Querrey stated it plainly and clearly: at this moment, Alex is the biggest star in the WTA. Not just one of the biggest or in the running, the absolute biggest, full stop. He made it clear that in terms of grabbing attention, driving ticket sales, pulling in viewers, and creating an overall buzz, Alex is currently in a league of her own. Querrey says the entire atmosphere shifts the second Alex walks on court. The whole vibe in the stadium transforms. The cameras immediately find her. People lean forward in their seats. Social media just explodes. And what's the most vital part of all this? It doesn't feel manufactured or hyped up. It's completely natural. It's a genuine emotional connection. Marketing firms and media campaigns can't create this. This is all Alex. Querrey didn't stop there, though. He went even further, conceding that this whole situation is making the rest of the players uncomfortable, specifically mentioning some in the top 10. Competitors like Aryna Sabalenka, who have dedicated their lives to reaching the highest level of the sport and have won the most prestigious tournaments, are certainly noticing what's happening. These are players with a proven history of success built on relentless dedication. These women have built entire careers, hoisted major trophies, and dealt with the immense pressure of championship finals. Even so, the tidal wave of attention that follows Alex from one tournament to the next is impossible to ignore. Querrey's point isn't meant as a sign of disrespect. It was about being honest. In today's tennis landscape, star power and magnetism are just as valuable as world rankings. On the ground, it's clear that Alex is cultivating a kind of devotion and fascination that even the most accomplished champions are noticing. They see the change whether they choose to acknowledge it in public or not. They can feel the shift. And according to Querrey, this change is one of the most powerful dynamics currently shaping the WTA as she continues to perform week after week and prove herself as a truly great player on tour. You know, they just pour out to support her. I believe we witnessed it in Australia when it became completely chaotic. They scheduled her on a court that was far too small. We saw it here as well. You can hear the noise all the way from the hotel. You can hear the crowd going wild, especially for the night sessions. It's just incredible. This topic has now moved beyond just pundits talking behind microphones. It's no longer just a studio debate. The players themselves are starting to weigh in. Jessica Pegula, one of the most respected and experienced players on the WTA Tour, shared what she personally experienced when facing Alex at the Miami Open, and her account completely reshaped the conversation. Pegula mentioned that she was completely caught off guard by what she walked into for that match. The scale of it was far greater than she had imagined. The atmosphere in the stadium was already at a fever pitch before the first point was even played, and she simply was not prepared for it. Pegula said the crowd was huge. The energy was almost overwhelming, and the sound was nonstop. Every single rally had the intensity of a championship point. What? For every single shot Alex hit, the crowd would just erupt. Pegula used one word to describe it: insane. On top of that, she didn't say it with any frustration in her voice. She said it with complete amazement. She understood that she was part of a moment that felt so much bigger than an ordinary tour match. It had the feel of a historic event. Then Pegula pointed to something that was even more telling. She confirmed this was not some isolated incident tied to a specific location. All over the world, Alex consistently draws the largest and most passionate crowds, regardless of whether she's in Miami, Dubai, or playing at the Australian Open. It's not a sometimes thing. It's not dependent on the situation. It's consistent across all surfaces, continents, and times of year. Fans are not simply showing up to her matches because they happen to be at the venue. They are buying tickets specifically for her. They are traveling for her just to get the chance to see her play in person. They are waiting in lines that are significantly longer than you'd see for a standard match. Professional tennis has poured years of effort into trying to generate this very kind of magnetic appeal in new markets. Marketing departments strategize for it. Governing bodies invest millions trying to ignite it. Yet Alex is creating it naturally. It's not a fake campaign or a forced storyline, but a simple connection built on her skill, her sincerity, and a story that resonates with people everywhere. Furthermore, when fellow players from inside the locker room start to acknowledge a phenomenon like this, it's a clear sign that you're dealing with more than just hype. It is a real-time movement as it happens. I mean, sure, you could argue it was just, a scheduling mistake and that they could have put her on a bigger court. Yes, but at the same time, she is so young and is just now making her mark. This has become a huge topic of conversation, and it's completely understandable. You see, we have athletes emerging from various nations like her, hailing from the Philippines, which is a massive development. It's no exaggeration to say she's become the most significant tennis figure to ever come out of that country, a large nation where interest is now exploding. The Australian Open showed the world just how undeniable this movement has become. The scenes unfolding outside the stadium for Alex's matches were something the tournament hadn't experienced in a very long time. Huge crowds gathered hours before she was even scheduled to play. Fans formed seemingly endless queues around the grounds just hoping for a chance to get inside. A great number of them never did. They had journeyed all the way to Melbourne, crossing oceans, and spending their hard-earned money just to be stuck outside the venue, but still they remained. They felt tied to a moment that they were completely shut out from seeing. As they listened to the deafening roars coming from the stadium reacting to rallies they couldn't witness, they still felt it was important to be near the action. That is the power of Alex's influence. The connection has become that profound. Then Novak Djokovic added his influential voice to the growing chorus of supporters. The most successful men's tennis champion ever, a man who has been at the top of the sport for 2 decades and knows greatness when he sees it, made his feelings perfectly clear. Djokovic stated unequivocally that Alex is the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever seen, adding that she is worthy of every bit of respect and admiration the sport can offer. He didn't stop at just praise, though. He also pointed out her treatment at certain tournaments regarding her scheduling and court assignments, suggesting it hasn't always matched her status or her obvious ability to draw crowds. When Djokovic offers his opinion, the entire tennis community listens. This is not just some commentator sharing a take. Alex is entitled to better, and the sport has a responsibility to her, and the millions of fans who follow her with such passion to see what's happening right in front of them. When a figure of that stature publicly confirms a player's impact, this legend of the sport believes it changes the conversation for good. At that moment, it became clearer than ever that this is more than just excitement. What's happening with Alex is history being made in the present. Introduction 6. That sentiment is now being repeated by commentators, past Grand Slam champions, active players on the tour, and even the single greatest to ever play the game. Alex is the next major force in the WTA, heading into Indian Wells. Her name is on everyone's lips. She generates a buzz before the first ball is even struck. The excitement doesn't wait for the opening serve. It builds for days in advance. The moment Alex steps onto the court, every fan leans in, every camera focuses, and all the other talk in the tennis world pauses to take notice. That is her power. That is the influence she commands. Alex doesn't need to ask for the spotlight. She commands it by her very presence. The entire world is watching. Now I want to know what you think. Is Alex the most talked about player on the WTA Tour right now? Or do you believe the excitement has gotten ahead of her on-court achievements? Is it fair for a legend of the game like Ana Ivanovic to compare her cultural impact to someone like Manny Pacquiao? Or is that comparison too much, too early? And what about the atmosphere in Miami that Jessica Pegula talked about? Have you ever seen such a groundswell of support for a rising talent? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is Alex the real deal and the one who will define the future of women's tennis? Or does she need more time, more consistency, and some major titles to truly back up the claims so many are already making?